Good afternoon. Welcome to the August 19th, 2025 City of Oshkosh Plan Commission meeting. We're glad that you can join us. I see we do have a quorum. I have a few housekeeping items to go over before we begin. Please turn off or silence all of your personal communication devices. The applicant and members of the public may speak to any item before the Plan Commission when the relevant item to which you wish to speak is called and public comment is opened. Unless an exception has been made by the Plan Commission, the following rules will apply. The applicant is given up to 10 minutes to present any information they wish for us to consider. Thereafter, members of the public will be given up to 5 minutes to address a specific item before the Plan Commission. Members of the public may only speak once per called agenda item unless a Plan Commission member requires clarification or wishes to ask you a question. Questions or statements from the audience will not be considered. Only statements from the podium after your stated name and address and within the allowed time constraints are taken into consideration. After all community members have had an opportunity to speak on the called agenda item, the applicant will be asked if they have a final statement for the Plan Commission, and then the Plan Commission may take action on that item. The Common Council has adopted rules of decorum for city boards and commissions, including the adoption of a civility pledge. No person shall personally attack a board or commission member, city official or staff, or any other person. No person shall make irrelevant, unduly repetitive, offensive, threatening, slanderous, defamatory, or obscene remarks or act in such a manner as to disrupt or disturb the orderly conduct of the meeting, and this would include hand clapping, stomping of feet, whistling, shouting, or other demonstrations. I do thank you all for all your understanding. Now on to the agenda. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowen, Ms. Sharman, Ms. Prop, Mr. Pollock.
Here.
Councilmember Bulow.
Here.
Mr. Rucker.
Here.
Ms. Davy.
Here.
Mr. Lowenstein.
Here.
Vice Chair Kiefer.
Here.
Chairman Perry.
Here.
7 board members present.
Thank you very much. On to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a statement on any of the consent agenda items? Any member of the public that would like to make a statement on any of the consent agenda items? If you approach the podium and state your name and address for the records, please.
I think this is where I go, but...
Oh, over here, the podium over here. Thank you.
Connor Miller, 3835 Somerset Way, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And addressing item number 4, the acquisition of a storm sewer easement at 3820 Jackson Street and 3835 Somerset Way and 3847 Somerset Way. So just hoping to, on behalf of my wife and I, speak against this proposed easement. We're not exactly entirely sure of our rights here, what we're allowed to say no, what happens when we do say no, but we are here to speak out against it for many reasons. Just it would be kind of an inconvenience on our new home. We just moved in last year. It would take up our only tree in our backyard, our garden we just laid, our fence. We have laid 18 arborvitae trees in the backyard recently. Our neighbor we know has a shed and a fence line on that same spot. We're not entirely sure there's even 20 feet that is in the proposal. We're not entirely sure that 20 feet exists, but we're a little worried about, potentially decreasing the value of our home, any liability issues or insurance issues with flooding possibilities with a new sewer. Is the foundation of our home going to be affected? Stuff like this. It's just something that we, would like to speak against.
Okay, thank you.
I believe that's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on one of the consent agenda items? If you approach the podium and state your name and address for records, please.
I'm Bruce Byer, 3196 Clairville Road in Oshkosh. I I got a big problem with the annexation and the sewer and stuff that they're putting in on Clareville Road. There's a 40-acre farm and a 20-acre farm, and they go by, there's 4 houses in a half a mile, and they're putting in $5 million worth of sewer and water for 4 houses. And the agreement between the city and the town of Algoma was I don't have to hook up to the sewer for 5 years from when it's put in. And I know I can't stop it because there's a big subdivision going in, and they've got a lot more clout than one person. I got a lot of questions on what's going to happen with the ditches, what's going to happen with the power poles, what's going to happen with the road. The road is half and half city and half town of Algoma. There's 10 houses on the other side in the town of Algoma. Are they going to be able to hook up to the sewer? Are they going to afford the same cost as me? Are they going to make the road wider? Are they going to make the ditches bigger like they did south of me? There's a lot of questions that haven't been answered. So my idea is let the planning commission tell me their plans.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
And for the Plan Commission members, I believe that's item number 5 on the consent agenda.
I think it's 2.
2?
It's part of 2.
2? Okay. Joe? Probably not pulled. Okay. Yes.
Hi. My name, excuse me. My name is Vicki McCann, and I'm representing the Midtown Neighborhood Association related to item number 7, conditional
Oh,
use.
we're not at item number 7 yet on the agenda. We're just at the first 5 under consent agenda.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be back.
Any other members of the public that wish to speak on the consent agenda? Please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Eric Byer, 326 Knapp Street. I'm up here to let you guys know I oppose the capital improvement plan that is set forth for Clareville Road, adding sewer and water. I think you guys should look at that and reconsider that for a further development. Right now, it's going to take a lot of resources to put that in place. The people out there, like my father who lives on that street, actually says it's not going to do any good for 4 houses to hook up. They have, which Mr. Engineer back here had said that we have to hook up within 1 year, and that's not true. According to the boundary agreement, it says they have 5 years to hook up. So if nobody's going to hook up to that for 5 years, there's no reason to pull it across there. Now, the other thing is there's going to be a subdivision put in very near to that area, and they want to put in some extra water, extra sewer, and that's understandable. But at this point, that subdivision's not going to be built out for at least 5 to 7 years. There are subdivisions that are still empty out there that are still trying to get built out. I get it, that will be put in, but I don't think this should be part of the 26 capital improvement plan. You know, pulling that is just a lot of waste of time for 4 houses that are on that side, and it's not even going to be used by the subdivision at any time soon. So, and another thing that Mr. Engineer said, he said that it is not required to be put in. We asked at the last informational Q&A, I had asked the question, is there a law, a rule, a zone that requires them to install that extra laterals, the extra mains for sewer and water? And he delayed and said, no, it is not necessary. It's not forced. It is not a law. So I guess you guys could reconsider what the capital improvement plan is for Clareville Road and maybe delay that for a couple years because right now it's not going to be used for anything other than a waste of time and money down Clairville. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public that wishes to speak on any item on the consent agenda? Any member of the public that wishes to speak on an item on the consent agenda?
Give me 1 second, there's somebody just coming in now. Sir, did you want to talk about anything on the consent agenda? Oh, did you want to speak on anything on the consent agenda on the first? Okay.
Okay.
Oh, do you want, on the first 5 items on the consent agenda, right up here?
Oh, I just want to talk about that,
Just state your name and address for our records, please.
Jim Stuber, 3825 Cobblestone Court, Oshkosh. About that drainage pipe at 3835 Somerset. You guys say the pipe is already in?
We don't have that answer to your question, but we're interested in hearing your other comments about that.
Well, that's what you were voting on, is an easement for that pipe. But you don't know if there's a pipe in there now or not.
We would have to have that answered from the department for our clarification.
So right now it's just a comment period, so you can ask questions and then say comments, and then after you sit down, we can have a staff member address.
Oh, I just want to know, was it installed correctly? Because they got no records of any of it. So they don't even know if it was installed correctly. Maybe they'll, you know. I don't know why you wouldn't have records, because that was put in about 1985, 90. Everybody's got records.
We'll have that addressed if a plan commission calls that out.
All right.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on the consent agenda? Please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records.
John Kolb, 1251 Tammy Road. My 2 brothers and me are the ones that own the bare farmland on Clairville, which is just south of Mr. Byer that just talked. And I guess my first problem is we don't get no straight answers. The last meeting we was here, the gentleman up there on the left, second man, he told us, we talked to him after the meeting, and he told us that that was going to be a goal for that sewer and water. You were right. And he told us to call City Hall. We called City Hall the next morning. They said, oh, don't worry about that. It'll be 5 years before we do anything out there in Clairville. But they're going ahead. Another thing is, my 2 brothers and me, we got 800 and, well, more than that, putting 1,000 feet of frontage along there. I think one section is 800 and something, and another 140. And are we paying for all the sewer and water now to put in, and then when the people on the west side of the road get annexed in 2042, are they going to get hammered again, or are we paying for both sides of the road now? We can't get no answers from nobody. Nobody seems to. Everybody tells you something different. We would like. I think the council and the planning commission got to get together and decide on one answer on this stuff. You can't just tell people anything. Oh, it's 1 year. Now, after I talked to City Hall, a month later, we get a notice that in 2006 and 2007, they're doing both ends of Clairville. 26 and 27, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak on the consent agenda items? Any member of the public wish to speak on consent agenda items? Okay, I'm seeing none. Is there any member of the Plan Commission that wishes to pull one or more of the items off of consent agenda? Ms. Davy.
I'd like to pull number 2 and number 4, and I guess number 5.
Okay, we have 2, 4, and 5 that are being pulled off the consent agenda. Any other members of the Plan Commission wish to pull one of these items off of consent agenda?
Well, second, are you looking for a second?
You don't need a second.
No.
Don't need a second.
Okay.
Any other members wish to pull one off? Okay, so we are going to be pulling off numbers 2, 4, and 5 from the consent agenda, and we will go into that right now. Okay, we'll approve 1 and 3 first. So on the consent agenda, item number 1 is the approval of the minutes from the August 5th Plan Commission meeting, and number 3 is recommend approval of water main easement at 3300 West 20th Avenue from Castle Rock Land Company LLC. Is there a motion to approve those items?
Move to approve consent as amended.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion for items number 1 and 3? Okay, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pollak?
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Bulow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye.
Miss Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0 for items 1 and 3.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 2 on the consent agenda is to review and make recommendation pertaining to granting of a sanitary sewer easement and stormwater drainage easement at 3200 West 20th Avenue to 3270 West 20th Avenue. Have there been any site inspections? Okay, those are so noted for our record. I have the staff report and I'll accept it as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Really no summary. I'm here for questions. Like the staff report says exactly what we need to say at this time.
Okay, so Plan Commissioner, are there any technical questions for the staff?
Yes. I need just an explanation of what this says, actually, Justin. My hang-up has been that I'm not understanding who owns what parts and why these easements are necessary. Specifically, does this, which part of this does the city own?
So the image on the screen, I think, just shows it really well. So these both easements, and I'll take them one at a time, but in general, both are on parkland property. So the sanitary sewer easement on the west side is a very small easement that is basically giving Castle Land Rock developments, the development to the south, a sanitary sewer easement for them to have a private lateral on parkland into the sanitary sewer system that is public. So basically it allows them to connect to the public sanitary sewer that runs through the park. The other one, the storm sewer drainage, again, same thing. It's a private easement on public parkland, so we're giving the development an easement to discharge their overland stormwater flows to basically the wetland waters of the state. So municipal code requires any developments to discharge their emergency overflows to waters of the state, an easement, or public right-of-way. So their ponds are in the back of their development, so they can't get to a right-of-way. They are very close to getting to waters of the state, which would be basically wetland that have been delineated. So this easement allows for a channelized flow through the park property to get to waters of the state.
So when it says private here, that means the developer, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, but they will be hooking up to city water and everything?
So this will be the sanitary one, it is a private sanitary easement, so the city park is granting an easement to the development to hook up to sanitary sewer. So it's a private easement, it's their infrastructure that they're connecting to the public infrastructure in the park property.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That makes sense. It was the private thing that was throwing it.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get that.
It's a little bit of a unique, we don't typically issue privates. If you kind of think of it as the park not being city owned, let's just say it's a other private owner. So it'd be two private owners, it would be the private owners giving each other easements, but because the city owns it, we need to go through the process to grant the easement.
Okay, thank you.
Does this mean the construction is going to begin soon on those apartments, or is this unrelated to that at all?
I have no timeline on those developments or when that's gonna happen. I know, pretty sure these were the last pieces of getting through the process for getting the approved plans. I think everything else, the plans are finalized, but they haven't been approved yet because we've been waiting on getting these easements through the process. I would assume it would start soon, but again, I can't speak for the timeline of the development.
Thank you.
Is there any other technical questions from Plan Commission? Any other technical questions from the Plan Commission? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to open a public comment period on this agenda item. A statement has been made from the applicant, so are there any members of the public that wishes to make a statement on item number 2? Any members of the public that wish to make a statement on item number 2? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. The applicant does not need to make a closing statement unless they wish to, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Move to adopt the findings and recommendation as stated in the staff report for item number 2.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pollak?
Aye.
Mr. Bulow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye.
Miss Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, item number 4 on the agenda is to review and make a recommendation pertaining to acquisition of a storm sewer easement at 3820 Jackson Street, 3835 and 3847 Somerset Way. Have there been any site inspections? You can count me on that. I will accept a staff report as part of the record. Can I have a summary, please?
Again, I think the staff report does a pretty good job. The biggest thing, I want to answer a couple of questions that are out there. This talks about, there's some questions about the adding of the storm sewer, so I want to state that there is a storm sewer that is already existing in this requested easement area. The city had no knowledge of it being installed, don't know when it was installed. It drains the Jackson Street right-of-way. There's an inlet just to the west of where that blue line area stops. There's a pipe in the infrastructure that has been installed, again, don't know when, to the east through those properties and drains to Somerset Way. So at this time, we're just trying to finalize an easement to basically protect that infrastructure that was installed at some point when the subdivision developed is my guess, but I don't have a great date on that.
Okay, Plan Commission, are there any technical questions? Ms. Davy?
So you have no plans to be tearing up the land between these two houses on Somerset Way at this point?
So I can tell you that when we were notified of this infrastructure, we did televise it. There are fence posts that have been driven through the top of the sewer. At this time, I don't know how we're going to rectify that situation. Once we get through this process, being Plan Commission and Council approval, we will work with an acquisition specialist who will negotiate the terms of the easement. And at that time, some of that stuff the answers will be given.
Thank you.
So, the homeowner did something not knowing there was piping underneath and damaged it? Is that what we're hearing?
I'm not saying any of the current property owners, but at some point in time, a fence was installed that has fence posts driven through the top of the pipe, yes.
And a pipe that's not recorded in your records is when
Correct.
it was put in? So
Correct.
when was the subdevelopment put in?
Back in the 80s.
And they weren't recording new sewers in the 80s?
We've got all the records of everything that was installed in the right-of-ways. Again, how this was installed, again, the DOT maybe extended it when they did work on Jackson. I don't know.
Sure.
So who, would that have been the city's authority to put that pipe in, or would it have been DOT, because I know that's a highway?
After conversations with the director, as far as when we were made aware of this, it was discussed if we wanted to make the DOT aware to try to get an easement. The DOT habitually does not maintain pipes, so it was kind of with minimal or no conversation with the DOT, it was decided that we will go through the process and get the necessary easements to cover the infrastructure that was installed at some point long ago.
And so is this related to the new development, the new child care center that's going to the south, that you discovered that this was there?
They were the ones that discovered it, yes. So related, yes, because they brought it to our attention, but they've got nothing to do with the easement.
And their drainage probably is not affected by this easement, or is that where they drain?
They're aware of this, so that, yes, there's an inlet in the parking lot. It's a little tough to see there, just a little bit to the east of where that arrow from the note is, that they plan to hook up to drain. But again, as far as the infrastructure being able to handle it, we're not overly concerned with that, because again, as a new development goes, they're required to detain on site and release back to the infrastructure at a slower rate.
Was this Mr. Kiefer?
Was this, how long has this area been part of the city of Oshkosh? Could it have been a township back in the 80s? Been annexed in, maybe that's why we don't have records of it.
Was this developed in the city initially? I guess, my guess is, the same with Jeff, my guess is this developed in the city. I do not believe it was the town, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Any other technical questions, Mr. Pollak?
So to be clear, this pipe was put there probably 40 years ago without an easement?
That we cannot find an easement, that is correct.
And it is now damaged.
Correct.
It's wastewater or it's sewer?
It is storm sewer.
Storm sewer, okay, thank you.
There are trenchless methods of rehabbing infrastructure. I have not gone down the path of trying to determine if we can try to rehab this trenchless, if we're just going to let it be. Now we know it's defective, we need to do something about it. Again, there's a lot of questions on what it looks like. We're just trying to really starting the process to actually get the easement.
Mr. Lowenstein?
And so we heard from, I think, the property owner there. Are they liable? Or what, like, I mean, they're worried about their trees and their fence, so what is their risk in this easement for their property that a pipe that's already there? We heard from two people who worried about the pipe that's already there. What's their liability in this whole circumstance from your perspective?
As far as the cost to fix it?
Yeah, if it's punctured and it wasn't their fence.
I would say at this time, the city stormwater utility would look to cover the cost to fix the pipe. As far as the infrastructure that's there today, the trees, the shed, all these things, again, it's going to depend on how we end up being able to fix it, if it has to go or if they can remain. Typically, easements don't allow trees and structures to be placed on them. That'll all have to be negotiated with the acquisition specialist once we have them on board, once it's through this process.
Typically, when you have a easement running through, and I have such a thing through my property on one side, and it's right down the middle, 10 feet on either side, I was told anything that I put in there could be subject to, the city having to come in and tear it up to fix it. But I knew, obviously, of the easement, the city told me this, so I knew up front. Obviously, if the city doesn't even know it's there, these homeowners don't have any way of knowing that it was there, and so, holding them liable for, or even reimbursing them or restoring what has to be torn up should be something the city looks to be doing, because it wasn't their, they had no way of knowing, and the city didn't even know. So, it's a risk that I was willing to take on my property. I put some stuff down, but I know if the city has come through there, well, it's going to be torn out. So, but I do that at my, my own
regard, so. What happens if we deny this?
Hold on. Ms. Davy?
I was actually going to say Dan was ahead of me.
Okay.
What happens if we deny this? I don't know who the question's for, but.
That is a great question. I mean, I think it would go to common council with a negative recommendation to move forward. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not sure what prescriptive rights are there for the managing authority of the infrastructure. I don't know.
So, in short, we are not this is not a legal decision that we make, this is a recommendation that we make to the common council. Mr. Bulow.
That was going to be kind of my question, but so it'll go from here, either recommended or not, to the council. If it passes through council, that's when we'll start the negotiation of acquiring and drawing up the legal paperwork, and then we'll be able to figure out the fixes and the options for repairing the situation.
Correct. I mean, ultimately, if this goes through, either a positive or negative through this commission, it would go to council. I would guess if they would deny it, it would stop there. And again, I'm not sure what happens then. If it would go through an affirmative, we would start that negotiation process to try to come to a mutual agreement for the terms of the easement. If not, the city has in state statutes authority to take property for the public health and safety of the citizens. And I would have a hard time arguing that the public health and safety of the Jackson Street right-of-way would not necessitate the city needing to take an easement for a pipe that's already there.
Ms. Davy.
One last question, I promise. Is there any chance that the county, that this was actually county land before Somerset Way was developed, and they would have some information? Had you checked with them?
We did a pretty extensive research with the states. Pretty sure we checked with the county. I'd have to check with staff on that, but we did a pretty extensive search to see if we could figure out anything on this infrastructure.
I know that the city and county go like this all the way down Jackson. You know, it's not straight lines at all. So I don't know what it was in the 80s. I wasn't born yet. Oh, maybe I was.
I don't believe it. Any other technical questions for staff? Okay, I'm seeing none, and so I'd like to open a public comment period. The applicant has made a statement. Are there any other members of the public that would like to make a statement on consent agenda item number 4? Approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Connor Miller, 3835 Somerset Way. Again, I think we just want to reiterate that we are against this. My wife and I are first-time home buyers. We bought it a year ago last June. Did not know about the pipe, did not know about any potential damage, did not know of any record of easement on our property. We had no existing knowledge. Perhaps that changes our idea of buying this house, anything like that. We didn't put in a fence, so I don't know if we have any liability for the damage. I couldn't quite hear the liability discussion on that, but it's just something that we very strongly feel will affect our way of life. Or, if this does tear up our yard, our neighbor's yard, all the things we've put in the house already in the short year we've been there. So just wanted to reiterate that we are against this for a lot of those reasons. And like we said, we did not know, about this when we bought the house just over a year ago. It's something that definitely would have impacted, our decision making and stuff like that. So just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wishes to speak on consent agenda item number 4? Any member of the public wishes to speak on consent agenda item number 4? All right, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. Would the applicant like to make a closing statement? Okay, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report for item number 4.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Rucker?
Yeah, is there any other solution? And I understand that the pipe needs to be corrected and something needs to happen. Can it be rerouted, or can it be, I just wonder if there's a different solution that we can look at without having to go through this particular process? Or is that really not our job here tonight?
It's not our job here tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bulow?
Just making a statement that I'm going to vote in the affirmative, but when this comes to council, I'm going to have more questions to try to take a look at what we can do here.
Hey, Mr. Lowenstein?
Yeah, I think that we sort of have to approve a pipe that's already in place, but I think we want to, encourage the council to make sure that the homeowner doesn't suffer for costs that are incurred to make this thing legal and appropriate. So I would ask the council to make sure that they think about that as they're approaching their own decision from our recommendation.
Any other discussion on the motion? I'm going to put in my discussion. I also live on a public easement, and as Mr. Kiefer said, I did plant on the public easement knowing full well that the plant may come down. And some years ago, there was actually a problem with the end of the storm water. It came up during a very heavy rain, just lifted it right up out of the pond that was back there, and because it was so wet, I mean, the nightmares were going through my head about my side yard will be torn to bits with the heavy equipment that clearly has to come to fix this. And I don't know what the city did, but they didn't even approach the problem through my property. They approached through another property and left no damage whatsoever in fixing it. So I was greatly satisfied by that, because I just had this absolute nightmare of spring yard work that I wasn't anticipating. So I do believe that the city does work really hard to minimize any potential damage if there is an issue. And the last thing I wanted to say is that because we are recommending, we do get a summary sheet of what we've recommended positively and what we've recommended negatively, and I frequently see on that summary sheet that the council has gone against our recommendation, whether positive or negative. They're on there occasionally, and so with that, I think it's most important to pass it on, rather than, being the legal authority for saying that it's on our docket. So I just wanted to make that statement. Any other discussion on this motion from the Plan Commission? Okay, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pollak?
No.
Councilmember Beulah?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye?
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
No.
Motion carried 5-2 for item number 4.
Okay, item number 5 on the consent agenda is to review and make a recommendation on the 2026 capital improvement program. There are no site inspections, so a staff report is accepted as part of the record. Is there a summary? There is no summary. Plan Commission, do you have any technical questions? Mr. Kiefer.
So, for the 8 or 9 years I've been on this commission, I've always wanted to make comments on the capital improvement plan and put my 2 cents worth in, but as I was told many times, we are basically looking at this plan to make sure that it is in agreement with the comp plan there, thank you, comprehensive plan. And that's really our role here, whether or not we agree with or disagree with any of the particular items on here or the timing of those items is really not our prerogative, I guess. So we're free to comment on them, but technically we are only making sure that they are in agreement with the comprehensive plan. Am I correct in saying that?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other technical questions?
Well, Justin, I know there was a question about this. Quite honestly, that was so long ago, I've already forgotten. But if you remember the question, could you address just that tiny little portion of this plan?
The Clearville Road?
Yeah, that was it, thank you. Got to take more notes, that's what I have to do.
Sure, so I can certainly try to give a little light, shed a little light on that specific project. I don't know exactly when that had been entered into the CIP. I do believe it's been for the better part of a year or two. I think if you go back and look at the 2025 CIP, it was already in the 2026. I'd have to confirm that, but that is what I believe. This project was kind of started to try to get the residents of Clairville, newly annexed in 2023, infrastructure for sewer and water because they are now city residents. It also is trying to help spur development west of Clairville. That land certainly is prime for development, and without getting the infrastructure to Clairville, it can't happen. So planning this in and getting it to that point allows that to annex in or attach in and start using infrastructure to develop. There were some questions regarding the 1 year and 5 year. I think looking at it, I believe the 5 year is for a delayed attachment, Jeff. So basically what it does is it allows a property to delay attachment, basically hook up to sewer and water, but they have to connect with it or have to attach within 5 years. That's what the 5 years is for. As far as city properties, municipal code requires the connection within 1 year of service being provided in front of it for, again, city residents. There's a couple questions on special assessments, which I've talked to most of these individuals here that have asked it, but ultimately, per the policy right now, they would be assessed as per the rates that have been established. The other side of the road, the west side, would be equally assessed once they would actually attach to the city. They've also all been talked about. Council has directed staff to put together a deferment policy on connection charges for special assessments. That has been through council once. I think they've seen a draft policy of that. We're still working through kind of getting that finalized, which could allow properties up to 10 years to not connect to and delay the assessment costs, sewer and water extension costs for that. That would different caveats in there that if there's a title change, it would look to get paid for, but in general, it could delay up to 10 years for that. That kind of summary I think you're looking for?
That was perfect, thank you.
Are there any other technical questions from Plan Commission staff? No other technical questions? So I'm seeing none, and I will have a public comment period on this as well, and I will open the public comment period. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a statement on agenda item number 5? Once again, state your name and address for our records, please.
Eric Byer, 326 Knapp Street. Just come back and tell you the same thing. This can be delayed. There is no reason to have this infrastructure put in on the street. We actually were here, they had invited us back right after they were annexed in, was it? We sat here with, remember the city manager was here because he was making sure that everything was fine, and we were all worried that we were going to be set up for city and sewer. He assured us that it was not in the capital improvement plan for 7 years. Now this came right from the city manager's mouth. You know, Mark Rolfe, he said it right here in this room. So now again, like Mr. Kobit said, you people have not been on the same page with everybody, you know, not saying that everything's wrong, but I'm just telling you, what we've been told has not been right. And now that we look at what's going on, it still doesn't seem right. I really think you guys should reconsider this part of the capital improvement plan and delay it for a couple years. Yes, I know it will need to get done, I know it has to get done, but right now you're pulling all this kind of infrastructure across 2 80-acre farm fields for no reason to pick up 4 houses. So just think about what's going on here and the people that are impacting it. Eventually it will get done, but right now it doesn't need to get done. Think about what needs to get done now and work on that, and not just affecting 4 people's lives and some corn. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak on this? Once again, state your name and address for our records.
Bruce Byer, 3196 Clareville Road. One of the big things that I've got is the cost is millions of dollars to put sewer and water into 4 houses. And it's going to take over 2 years. So that's 9th Street is not, does not have sewer up to Clareville. So they got to put sewer and water up to Clareville and then down Clareville halfway and the other half down. So it's going to be 3 years basically to put the sewer and water in there, and it's going to cost $5 million. So I don't think that this is good planning.
Thank you very much. Any other member of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Remember to restate your name and address for our records, please.
John Cove again, 1251 Tammy Road. My 2 brothers and me are the ones that own the land, the bare farmland there. I think it's like 900,000 feet. And we were told 97, the other night, I think $97 a foot for one and $93 a foot for the other one. So you can see you're talking between $200,000 and $300,000 to lay this pipe in front of this farmland. And I still would like to know, we get billed for that, but in 2042, when the rest of the town could be annexed to the city, are them people going to pay again for something that's already been paid for? I'm sure they're not going to reimburse us, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak on item number 5? Any other member of the public wish to speak on item number 5? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. Would the city like to make a closing statement? Okay. So, Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report, which is basically the capital improvement program. I said that wrong.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve item number 5, the recommended approval of the capital improvement program. Is there any discussion on this motion? Councilmember Yule.
Just because I had a second to look it up, I went back to the 2024 CIP, and it did have this project slated for 2026 and 2027, as it still is in there today. I know there was a question about when it was added to. I didn't go back further, but I noticed in the 2024 as approved by City Council that this was in there. Just want to make that comment.
Any other discussion on this motion? Mr. Rucker.
Just in regards to the cost of this, I understand that the improvements and these things need to go forward. But when you talk about easements and expenses for city improvements that get kind of kicked down the can down the road, you know, and individuals that currently own properties that then will have to get those, if they were to sell their property, you know, then those costs would be shown up to future buyers. And I just thought that was something that should be discussed if it does go to council. You know, you talk about easements and individuals that we chatted before that weren't aware of those particular things, and the title company should have made that aware. But the fact that if we don't pay for it now, it just makes it that much more difficult for the homeowners to sell their property, knowing that future home buyers might potentially have to pay for that. And I think that's a concern.
Any other discussion on this motion? I do have one item to add. I'm highly conflicted over this agenda item personally, and the reason is that as the Plan Commission knows, I'm generally very sympathetic to property owners, abutting property owners, that type of thing, and this is a concern. I would not want to be faced with some of these questions as well. However, this is the entire capital improvement plan, and we are not voting on individual items, we're voting on the entire capital improvement plan, which has some also very good projects in there as well. And so my hope is that if this passes, the city council, well, even if it doesn't pass, the city council takes this up, and I hope that they would have a lively discussion on this particular subject, because obviously it's very important to a group of individuals in the city. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pollak?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
No.
Motion carried 6-1 for item number 5.
Okay, thank you. Now on to the regular agenda items. Item number 6 is a public hearing. It's a review and make a recommendation on a conditional use permit request for a vehicle service facility located in the north side of the 1600 block of Ripon Lane. Have there been any site inspections? Okay, those are so noted. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. So the subject site is about a half acre in size. It's a vacant property on the north side of Ripon Lane. The surrounding area consists of residential uses immediately to the east and west of the subject sites, and commercial uses along West South Park and South Kohler Street in the surrounding area. The property and the surrounding area is zoned SMU district and slated for interstate commercial use. Here's a view of the subject site, again currently vacant. The applicant is proposing a 2,275 square foot vehicle service facility, which requires a conditional use permit in the SMU zoning district. There was a neighborhood meeting held on July 7th of this year with one neighbor in attendance, and the neighbor was generally supportive of the proposed use, but had some questions related to storm drainage and noise. So here's the site plan. The facility will have a single access driveway from Ripon Lane. The plan meets requirements for setbacks, parking, and impervious surface ratio. Here's the landscape plan. It is meeting the building foundation planting requirements, also meeting the paved area requirement with a combination of trees and shrubs around the parking lot. It is also meeting the street frontage landscaping point requirements, and it is exceeding the yard landscaping point requirement. Although there is not a buffer yard requirement, as it shares appropriate or the same zoning with the neighboring two properties, the applicant is providing a 6-foot tall solid fence and evergreen trees along the east and west property lines to provide screening for the existing neighboring residences. Here are the proposed elevations. The elevations include a combination of pre-finished architectural metal wall panel, brick veneer, and storefront glazing. And the plan includes 50% Class 1 materials on the front and side facades to comply with the commercial design standards requirements. There was additional correspondence forwarded to Plan Commission on this as well. So staff recommends approval of the CUP with the findings and condition in your staff report.
Okay, thank you very much. Plan Commission, any technical questions for the staff?
I have one question. It's more of a generic question, but on landscaping in general. A couple meetings ago, somebody asked how long this stays in effect, and the answer was in perpetuity. How do we enforce that? Just generically, not with this site specifically, but I drive around town, I see dead trees here and there in various retail establishments. How do we enforce that they replace those trees or shrubs if they die?
It's generally complaint driven. If landscaping dies, the applicant is required to replace them, but it's typically if city staff notices or if we get complaints.
Okay, thank you.
Any other technical questions? Oh, Mr. Lowenstein.
So it's a very weird street. Have you thought about parking or like driving, obviously the way Ripon connects to South Park? I mean, that intersection and that traffic flow, is there, I mean, I don't know what the traffic volume for a place like that is planned to be, but that intersection is very kind of difficult to navigate. And have we thought about the traffic flow around the Ripon South Park connection if there's more traffic flowing back in there?
There were no conflicts noted as part of the transportation review.
Councilmember Bulow?
Just want to make sure I'm looking at this right. We're basically going to have Duncan, home, auto repair, home? 3 homes, sorry. Home. Okay.
Correct, yep, yeah, Duncan, 3 homes, auto repair, and then home again.
Miss Davy?
John and Tom will probably remember this, but just for those of you who are newer, we did have a major discussion on this particular intersection back when some of the other approvals were made. I can't remember what that building is. Is that Duncan there?
Yes.
Yes, the corner.
Yeah. We did discuss that at great length, and there, it worked for that property. And somewhere in this report, I believe it says there won't be more than 25 cars in and out a day. That's what they were projecting, and that's pretty low traffic. My street gets more than that, and I live on a 1-block cul-de-sac, so. Oh, that's a 1-block cul-de-sac too.
Any other technical questions for staff? Okay, I'm seeing none, so this is a public hearing, and so I'm going to open the public hearing. Request a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here today? You can approach the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Bob Mock with Mock 4 Engineering. I am agent for the owners. The owners are also here as well. As Brian stated in the staff report, this is the last vacant lot on Ripon Lane, and we're proposing an auto service garage here. Auto service garage in the suburban mixed use is a conditional use, so we've created this preliminary plan and the preliminary architecturals to flesh out whether this would be allowed for this property before investing in full site design and everything else for the project. We have allowed areas for stormwater management. We've shown how we can meet the landscaping for the property. You guys had asked about the traffic for the site. This is a 3-bay garage, so we're anticipating about 2 to 3 trips per hour, a trip being 1 vehicle in and out. So that gets us to that around 25 vehicles per day. Relative to the intersection and stuff, that is an insignificant amount of traffic for the area. In our final design, we will finalize infrastructure design, landscaping, lighting, but we're confident that we can meet the requirements, and we've provided, we feel, very adequate buffers to the adjacent residential properties and taken their concerns into consideration. There won't be any long-term storage of inoperable vehicles on the site. Obviously, if someone has a vehicle towed that needs service, it may sit there during the day, but no, this is not intended to be a salvage yard or anything with long-term storage there. There are some existing trees and landscaping on the site, particularly in the back. As much as we can, while trying to deliver this project, we will see if we can preserve some of that existing vegetation through there, and there's a couple on that east side that may or may not be on the property. That'll be determined during final survey as well. So if there's any questions specifically for the plan, I'm here to offer them, or answer them. Otherwise, that is generally the summary of the project.
Thank you very much. Is there a member of the public that wishes to speak on this, speak in a public hearing on this agenda item? Is there any member of the public that would like to make a statement on this agenda item? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public hearing. The applicant can make a closing statement if they choose. They are passing, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Make a motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Mr. Rucker.
I guess my question is why? Why do we want to put a garage in this particular location? Can I get a comment on that? We've got residential around it. We're kind of tucked in around the back. Why would we want this to happen? I don't know if we can address that or.
Yeah, I'll allow the planning staff to address that.
The property owner applicant have the ability to request a land use that's allowed, or in this case, a conditional use based on the zoning. It's zoned SMU district, so they can request to use the property for that purpose.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Just had a
Councilman Rio.
I'm so little, just had a question on this picture. It's a 3-bay garage. Where are the doors? Which way do like if the open door while they were repairing a car, which way do they face? So it'd be west?
It looks like going towards Keeler.
Towards the parking lot.
Okay. So my only concern would be the noises if they're working with the doors open. I've worked in an auto garage before, and obviously there's a lot of banging and air wrenches, and so that would be my only concern. It does look like there's going to be some vegetation planned in there, so hopefully that'll help a little bit. But
Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pollak?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulow?
aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
No.
Motion carried 6-1.
Thank you. Item number 7 is a public hearing. Review and make recommendation on conditional use permit request for a group development located at the northwest corner of East Tennessee Avenue and Mount Vernon Street. Have there been any site inspections? And you may add me as well.
Sorry about that, Carl. No problem.
Thank you very much. The staff report is accepted and is part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. So the subject site is a 1.19 acre vacant property with frontage on East Tennessee Avenue, Mount Vernon Street, East Custer Avenue, and Harrison Street. The surrounding area consists mostly of residential uses, along with an auto body shop in the adjoining property to the west-south, and an institutional use to the east. The property is zoned urban mixed-use district, and it is slated for neighborhood commercial use. Here's a view of the subject site, again currently vacant. The applicant is proposing 3 townhome buildings totaling 15 units. Townhouses of 3 to 8 units are permitted in the UMU zoning district. However, group developments with 3 or more principal structures require a CUP. There was a neighborhood meeting held on August 5th. The neighbors in attendance were generally supportive of the proposed use, but noted possible concerns related to the proposed residential use being adjacent to the existing auto body shop to the west and south. The site will have 7 driveway accesses attached to attached garages from Mount Vernon Street, and it will have 1 single access to 3 attached garages from Harrison Street. The plan meets requirements for setbacks, building separation, parking, residential density, and impervious surface ratio. Multi-family uses are required to have outdoor recreation space reserved, and the site plan provides sufficient yard space and patio areas to meet this requirement. Here's the landscaping plan. It is meeting the building foundation landscaping plan requirement for each building. It is meeting the paved area requirements. The plan does not specify the number of points devoted to tall trees and shrubs for the paved areas, and that may be addressed during site plan review. The plan is meeting the street frontage landscaping point requirements along all 3 frontages. One of the street frontages trees appears to be within the 20-foot by 20-foot corner vision triangle, so that will need to be moved outside of the vision triangle to meet code. The plan is meeting yard landscaping point requirements as well. Here are the proposed building facades. So the townhomes are 2-story buildings with the exterior consisting primarily of vinyl siding along with window and door areas for each unit. Code requires 20% of street-facing facades to be comprised of window and door area. The plan is meeting this requirement for all street-facing facades with the exception of the north facade of the 5-unit building, which is facing Custer, to be the facade, so it's slightly deficient of the 20%. Staff has determined that the site has unusual difficulties related to this requirement, as it has 4 street frontages, And the plan exceeds the 20% window and door area requirement on the primary facades of all buildings, and sufficient articulation is provided on this particular building end. So staff will permit the window and door area reduction as proposed. And again, with this one, there has been additional correspondence forwarded to Plan Commission. And with that, staff recommends approval of the CUP with the findings and condition in your staff report.
Thank you very much. Plan Commissioners, any technical questions to the staff on this? Mr. Lowenstein?
So, that piece of property seems to have weird drainage. Is there extra drainage going in for all the hard surfaces going in there? I know there's kind of a culvert along Harrison Street, but I've noticed it's very wet in wet time. So has there been the drainage plan, and have we looked at that aspect of it?
And there are drainage areas shown on the plan, but I'd have to defer to Public Works to answer that specific question.
Would you like Public Works to answer the question? All right.
If he has a comment. I know it's very wet. That's just my sense of going by it often.
Sorry, what was the specific question
I
then?
was just thinking about drainage with all that extra hard impervious surface there. I know there's a lot of water that gathers along Harrison and that kind of culvert. And so I was just wondering about drainage and extra runoff from buildup on that property.
Sure, so municipal code would require any of the new development here, or any development on this site, to reduce the amount of volume it's discharging at a slower rate at a later rate. So I understand that the Harrison ditch does take a lot of water, it does seem to fill up rather quickly in relatively small amount of rains, but this development will actually be releasing it back to the system slower than what it is today.
So is that part of this plan, or is that coming as the development moves forward?
So that there is, I mean, we are working through the stormwater management practices that have been proposed and the design of them, making sure they comply with code. I do see that they do have some stormwater practices along kind of the, well, south of the plan, kind of where the cursor is now, that red dot, as well as on the far off of Tennessee. So they do have a couple stormwater management practices. Whether this specific design meets code, I'm not 100% sure, but we will certainly make sure it meets code before it is fully approved.
Is there any other technical questions? Any other technical questions? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to open the public hearing and request a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here and wish to make a statement? State your name and address for our records, please.
Adam Hurtle with American Architectural Group. Nothing to add other than what's in the report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Is there any other member of the public that would like to make a statement on this agenda item? Approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Hello, my name is Kurt Hines, 2951 Delhi Road, Amro. I own the commercial building on 106 East Tennessee Ave there. I have no problem with the development at all. My only concern is I would like to see added to the developer's plan some sort of perimeter fencing in order to protect my tenants' customer vehicles, and that would also benefit the potential homeowners there as well. There are, you know, his right to do business that does sometime go into the evening, not often, but I ran the business myself for 20 years out of that building before I sold to a long-term employee 4 years ago. I still own the property. I guess the only thing I would like to see would be perimeter fencing. The developer add the perimeter fencing to protect my property and my tenants' customer vehicles. Other than that, I have no problem with the development at all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other member of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Please be sure to state your name and address for our records, please.
Vicki McCann, 1103 Mount Vernon Street, Oshkosh. Our big concern, I'm here representing the Midtown Neighborhood Association. We don't feel that the playground area that they're proposing is going to be adequate. You're coming into a very densely populated area. We have over 500 homes in our neighborhood association, then we'll be adding these 15 more. So we don't, that there is no green space available for children in this area. The little townhouses on Mount Vernon Street, across there going to the east, they did have a playground. They have green space, which is now also mostly overgrowth. And they took the playground out for some reason, all the play equipment. I just don't think that it's an adequate amount of play, because there's nowhere else for the children to go. Harrison is a very busy street. We laughingly call Mount Vernon and Grand and Jefferson speedways because it's all one way and with minimal stop signs. So cars are going really fast. So there's a lot of concern on that respect. Also, with the driveways coming onto from Mount Vernon, that's a one-way street, and so that's going to really increase the amount of traffic coming into that area. Because where it curves there from Harrison, that's one way onto Jefferson. Tennessee, when you get up to that curve area right at the inline, you have to turn left. And of course people don't. So there's a lot of difficulty on that curved road there. But that's the access to that business, so certainly wouldn't want to mess with that. The neighborhood association welcomes increased housing for Oshkosh. And we would welcome this also. We just would like to see more green space and making sure that the children are safe in these higher traffic areas.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Is there any member, please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael C. Jermeau, 1231 Mount Vernon. I sent a letter on Friday. Kimberly said that she distributed to all of you with questions and everything. I'm sorry if it sounded snarky. That's kind of the way I am sometimes, but I have a lot of questions. First of all, I did not know this was private property, so the person who owns this can sell it and propose whatever they would like. What I would ask this body is, what kind of development are we looking at for the city? Do you want these MIC boxes of just buildings that just go up? It doesn't really fit with the area around. For those of you who've done site inspections, if you go north, south, all over the place, it's all single dwelling, all older houses that have character, that have resemblance. That's why they call it a neighborhood. That's why they call it a community. Now you put these up, I don't know what the clientele would be, but I'm going to say it, to be very frank, they look butt ugly. I used to work for an architectural engineering firm, and when I look at this stuff, I would just fire that art of work cartoonist who made these, because they just are not, they don't fit where this place is. I'd love to have some development, and like the young lady said, in some more green space, something open more. This just looks like a Lincoln log that someone just put out and said, here we go. Look at the back part of that. Would you want to live in a place like that? So I'm just saying, as a planning commission, what is it that you envisioned for this town? Do you want to turn into an Appleton and Menasha where every subdivision looks the same and every blade of grass gets turned into a development? And again, I live just hop over Tennessee and take one step. My house is just right there. Yeah, right down to the south there, my house is just right beyond there, right there. So this impacts me. You were talking about traffic and the drag racing. It's incredible how fast these people go on this road. So please consider the fact that, is this how you want to develop this great city that people want to come to? Or do you want to just keep developing everything so it looks similar. Thank you for your time. I'm sorry I took too much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak? Any other member of the public that wishes to speak? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Would the applicant like to make a closing statement? Okay. The applicant is passing, and so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Councilmember Beulah.
Sure, I just want to answer some of the questions that came up of what kind of housing we want in Oshkosh, and the answer to that is honestly more. One of the biggest struggles with a smaller lot like this is for single-family homes to be built in there. They'd be in the $380,000 to $400,000 level from a new development without any sort of tax incentives or payment. So while I wouldn't prefer a townhome, my mom just moved into one of these because it was right for her. And it was a place for her to be able to have a little bit less yard work, a little bit less property maintained, and it was right for her. It's not right for me with my 2 young kids, but the answer is from council, and what the orders that we've given to our staff is more. And because that is what all of our reports and all of our studies have shown that we need. Until we can get enough stock to help stabilize the housing prices, we have to keep building more. Everybody destroyed city council when we got the reevaluation done, and everybody's property values went up so much. And the reason why they went up so much is because of supply and demand. There's a very low supply for homes, and there's a very high demand. So I just wanted to speak on that from city council.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion on this motion? Ms. Davy?
I would also agree with Carl and definitely support this. From a sustainability point of view, this is a very good infill project. There's this land that's sort of in the middle of everything, and it's sitting there. It will provide a lot of housing, as we know from our study. We need that. And while I do recognize the fact that there's not enough green space in the area, I don't think it's fair to try to put that on this particular project. They need to make enough money to make this worthwhile and be able to supply this housing. So I think it's upon the Parks Department actually to locate some place within the Midtown neighborhood and find something that they can do with that. So I will definitely be supporting this. I think it's a great project. They're a little ugly, but you know.
Any other discussion on the motion? Mr. Kiefer.
And I think I'll agree with Margie and Carl that we have to look at other alternative types of housing, and we have to be open to designs that aren't necessarily completely in line with what is in the existing neighborhoods. And especially in a situation where you have an infill lot like this, you have to be open to some other ideas, and putting up traditional homes that would match those in the community would probably not be a cost-effective development for that person. So I'm also, concerned with the green space. I brought this up many times, other developments, that we do need to look at our park space. Having rode my bike down here many a times during my high school and younger days, with friends living on Eastman and Grand, and I'm hard pressed to think of where the next park is besides maybe Congress and or Menominee Park, being the closest ones to this area. But it is difficult to put that on this particular property, and generally difficult without some removal of homes and other properties to create any kind of park in this particular area. So with that, I think it's a good use of this land, and I'd be supporting it. So.
Any other discussion on the motion? I'll mention, put in my 2 cents, and it is a very challenging parcel. One of my concerns is that while, yes, we need significantly more housing, I kind of wish that we would really work on much more affordable housing. However, I'm looking at this neighborhood, and I drove through the neighborhood, and I don't expect this to be any more than market-based, which is at least a little reassuring to me, is that this will not be out of line with the rest of the neighborhood. I do believe that we should have further discussions on property buffer, fence, that kind of thing, but I do know that this comes back to us in specific implementation plan, so we can discuss those things then, correct?
This would not be a conditional use permit, this is your only review of it.
Well, then I would really want to discuss further about the abutting property owner. Any other discussion on this motion? Councilmember Buell.
I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that we just approved a auto repair location in a residential surrounding, and now we're looking at residential surrounding an auto repair location. Just the dichotomy of those, couldn't go without stating it.
But there was a fence going up on the new, yeah.
Mr. Rucker.
I just wanted to mention that I am a member of the Midtown Neighborhood. I'm also on the Midtown Neighborhood Steering Committee, and I just will be voting present in this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion?
Last one, I
Councilmember
promise.
Buell.
I just pulled up a couple of the addresses nearby, and they are around $142,000 to $150,000 homes. So I do think if this was developed with brand new 250, 300,000, even, you know, because that's what it costs to build a 1,200 square foot house these days, that would be even more out of line with the surrounding neighborhood.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pollak?
Aye.
Councilmember Buelow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Present.
Miss Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 6-0 and 1 present.
Okay, thank you very much. The last item on the agenda, oh, is there any other business? Any other business? Okay, we have a comment.
I just wanted to say that our staff encourages, if you have any questions or want more information on anything before the meeting, you can always reach out to us. Just a reminder that we're here to answer questions anytime. So reach out if you review the agenda and want some more information before the meeting. We're happy to help.
Okay, any other new business? Okay, I'm seeing none. The last item on our agenda is the adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We can voice vote on this one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, we are.